don't know me, that I haven't had the opportunity to meet, my name is Jordan Johnson. I'm the District 1 Commissioner. And so if you live in downtown or Old Town and anywhere in the vicinity, I'm your commissioner. Okay? So for the sake of our project manager's safety, right? All water bottles, pen caps, peanuts, all that going at me. Alright? I can dodge. Okay? Good evening, thank y'all. We are here tonight simply because you started speaking up, right? And that's the most important part about anything that we do in this city. Is that when folks in communities start to let their voices be heard, we have no choice but to listen, right? We understand that this is probably one of the biggest projects that this neighborhood or this area has seen in decades. It's probably going to be one of the biggest projects that we ever see, right? I always tell the story about when I used to lead the Boys and Girls Club here at Heritage. I came outside one day, it was raining, and the car got too fast, and because it was flooded, I was soaked, just like off of a cartoon, right? I said that something has to be done about that. So this project is going to be great. It's going to fix the drainage to eliminate flooding. It's going to be aesthetically pleasing to a degree, right? Depending on how we look at things after this meeting. There's some sidewalk improvements, crosswalk improvements. But the elephant in the room, of course, are the trees in the neighborhood. And not only just in the neighborhood, but the area in general. We've heard your concerns, and the very first thing that we've done, we were out of town in Tampa. I told Commissioner Scott, when we get back to Augusta, we'll be down in town hall meeting, right? And so that's why we're here tonight. We're here tonight to talk. We're here tonight to do some damage control, so to speak. So I'll tell you the format for tonight. Then we'll move into some introductions, and then we'll go from there. So basically, the format is just going to be pretty simple. We're going to introduce the team that's responsible for this project, seeing it through the finish line. And then from there, we're going to allow you an opportunity to share your concerns, right? Because I know there are plenty concerns in the room tonight. We're not going to silence anyone's thoughts. We're not going to silence anyone's opinions. That's not going to get us anywhere. So if you have a concern, you can get the microphone and speak your concern. At the end of that concern period, we're going to then take an opportunity for you to come up and meet the project managers one-on-one for question and answers. I believe that's more intimate. You'll get an opportunity to have a more in-depth conversation with them versus in a stand-up, ask questions, answer type of format. So when you get the microphone, please remember that you're only giving your concerns. Don't ask your questions or you come up at the end of the meeting, okay? With the concern, I'm going to ask that everyone remains respectful, all right? We're all trying to do the same thing. We all want the same thing, and I honestly believe that we're going to get there. I said that last year when we came to this meeting, and we're getting there, but of course there's a little bit more work to do. I believe we're going to all get to a happy place, right? But please be respectful. I've received some emails that weren't pretty nice. Our department received emails that weren't really nice. That's why I said, if you throw your peanuts at me, it's okay, I can take it, but let's be respectful to those who came tonight to help us out, all right? As long as we agree to have a civil conversation tonight that gets us to a better place, I think that we'll be satisfied with the result at the end of this project. I took a walk through the neighborhood on Friday, and I was amazed at the progress being made, but I was also concerned, just as you are, with the amount of trees that are next for replacement. We're going to talk about that, okay? I am in no way, shape, or fashion saying that we're going to save every tree in this project, because unfortunately, I think that we all know that that's unlikely, that's unrealistic. But we can get to a happy place, all right? And I'm going to need your help getting to that happy place. Many of you came to the commission on Tuesday to voice your concerns, and I suggested to have that meeting here instead. Thank you for agreeing to that. What we talk about tonight and those concerns that you share tonight, they're going to be recorded, they're going to be written down. And then at our next commission meeting, our next engineering committee meeting, whatever we discuss tonight will guide the discussion at the commission meeting. If we have to do any types of adjustments that we made based off of whatever decisions or conversations we have tonight, okay? So we're listening, we're engaged, and we really want to get to a better place, all right? So that being said, I want to take a quick moment to introduce my colleague from District 9. So every commission district has two commissioners. You have a super district commissioner and a singular district commissioner. Our super district commissioner, Francine Scott, is here tonight. So can we welcome Commissioner Scott?
I know you all want to hear me, so I think we should go ahead and start the meeting. So they're here, they want to hear some good news, and I think you're going to have some good news. And then, like my colleague said, some will be happy, and there is gonna be some that's not so happy, because unfortunately, we are not gonna be able to save all the trees, but we hear you loud and clear, and we're gonna see what we can do to come to a happy meeting. Thank you so much for coming out, thank you for voicing your opinion, thank you for the emails and the telephone calls, we hear you.
Thank you, Commissioner. She's the wise one, Commissioner. She knows what not to do, right? Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Okay, so I'm going to turn the meeting over now to, well, first of all, before we do that, let's thank Heritage Academy for opening their doors tonight. Tammy and I'll also pause here and say, sorry for some confusion. We wanted folks to come in off of Ellis for obvious reasons, right? But thank you for still coming through the WOW zone. Okay, thank you for braving that. Thank you, Tana. Thank you for your team. And where's our representative from the Richmond County Sheriff's Office? Thank you, sir. Let's give our deputy a round of applause for our representation. All right, well, let's get this show on the road. I want to introduce A.B. Latson. He is going to come up and talk to us a little bit about this project. I also want to introduce Dr. Hamid Malik, the director of the engineering department for the city of Augusta. Can we get him a round of applause as well? All right, it's all yours.
Thank you, Commissioner. I guess I was volunteered for this today, tonight. Well, if we can get the engineering staff and the consultants to come forward, there might be some questions as we go through. I see some familiar faces here, so good to see you guys again. I think we will also have Derek Van. So what I'll do is just give you an introduction to the team. The team is the Augusta Engineering Department, which is June Amal, and Dr. Malik and Ewing and Tony Williams, and then our design team is Sean. And so these are guys that actually put everything together and basically put the downtown plans or part of the downtown project plans together. DMC was instrumental in putting together Telfair 13th Street and Green Street. So they'll be part of the team. And just going to give you a brief overview of these projects. These projects were started, I used to work for the city a long time ago. And I've been in Augusta 21 years. So these projects actually started, I want to say in 2008, 2009, as a part of the TIA projects, the Transportation Investment Act. And on these particular projects, at least the ones downtown, there were several projects. They included Green Street, Broad Street, Telfair Street, 5th Street, 6th Street, and 9th Street. And initially, those projects were actually placed in categories with the projects for downtown, divided up into 3 started those with, doing the downtown, with a concept plan. So we hired a consultant, this is the, concept, probably more than, it was probably back in 2015, 2016, so that was almost 10 years ago. So, in doing so, did some estimates on these projects and, found out that with everything that's done downtown, it was, well over $100 million, for the work that's being done downtown. So we did have some meetings and we did discuss, trees and those things from the very beginning to the, concept stage, up to, present, time. And doing these type of projects, you know, there will be some issues, throughout the process. You know, as you go into, even when you get into construction, people will have some concerns and those type of things. So it was taken into consideration that, okay, it might be some changes and that type of stuff here. And so I think this is where we're at. We had, you know, to, address your concerns, take those concerns, and take it back to the design team, and see if we can, possibly, address some of those issues while construction is going on. Because the one thing we don't want is to stop construction. Stop construction, I've been doing this for almost 30 years, stop construction, you're gonna have some serious problems. So, with that said, we can turn it over to, Derek, you guys have any
Derek is also part of the team.
Yeah, Derek Vanover is also, a part of this team, and he's kind of been involved in addressing some of these tree issues. Derek is an arborist and, used to be, I think still is a part of the tree issues. So he's been working with the team on addressing the issues.
I understand that a lot of work is involved, but can you explain exactly what is the project that is happening down on Pleasant Street?
Yes,
We can't hear the question, and we can't hear, your microphone is too low, and we can't hear his question, so we don't.
I can't
Bring it
hear you.
closer.
We hear you, we got you, we're gonna take care of that. We have 2 microphones tonight.
I can hear you.
Hold it closer.
Yeah, the microphone needs to be held closer to the mouth.
Thank you, I understand what you're saying, and you've got a lot of design problem behind it, but what exactly is the project that is going on in Pleasant Street? It's trees are one thing, the project is the other.
The project is basically, it's a combination of a streetscape and doing, and infrastructure. It includes, improving the sidewalks, underground, stone drainage. There's a lot of utility relocation that's involved because it is downtown. It's a curb and gutter and also, a resurfacing, building, resurfacing the project and planting trees, and striping. It's kind of it's basically a streetscape and an infrastructure project in one. So basically, when it's completed, I mean, you basically see the road. It'll be in the same place, but you basically see the road.
New water lines?
I think water lines are part of it because in some cases you would have to relocate water lines. So I think that is a part of it.
What exactly is a streetscape?
All right, so
People
let's go
don't
back to
know
the
what
beginning
that
of the
is.
meeting. When I said that we're gonna pass the mic for you to share your concerns, right? You guys are asking questions, which is good, it's not a bad thing. But we wanna make sure that the concerns get out first, so that we can hear you and prep for the next meeting that we have. And then we wanna hold time so that you can have your one-on-ones with our project team, okay? I think that'd be more fruitful. If you throw a question in there, we're not gonna shut you down, of course. But try to just stick to concerns, okay, so that we can get to a better spot. All right, so let's start with our concerns. Do we have an additional mic that we can pass around the room? Give us one moment so we can hear each other. Okay, well, in the meantime, yes.
My concern is that we have, if we're starting the, demolition, that it's the timeliness that it's being finished. Because for some people, it's their home, for other people, it's their livelihood. And, you're going to be impacting people in both directions. So the concern is, when you start the deconstruction, that it be done in a timely manner, and that there be some penalty for the delays that we've seen on Green Street. We don't wanna see them on Telfair Street. So that's and that the individual houses, at the same time that you're doing water lines for the city, my concern is that you run the water lines, everything to the individual houses, the individual lots, so that there could be future growth included in this development.
Basically, the streetscape is, basically how the project, I guess the aesthetics of the project. Basically, Telfair and the streets down here will look a whole lot better. So it includes like the brick pavers, the granite, curbing, so, the bike lanes. So basically what you have is, like, the aesthetics of the street will look a whole lot better, the street lights, there'll be new street lights. So all of that's a part of the streetscape. So after construction, during construction, of course, it's gonna look better. But after construction, everything should, I think you'll be pleased with it.
Okay, we have one here, Tanya Bonitatis. On you.
Hey, so first and foremost, thank you. Like, seriously, thank you for one, everybody coming out, and then also for having this meeting tonight. I think it's really awesome. I did, as this project was being created, I actually owned a house right here on Ellis Street, which is kind of cool. I parked in my own front yard, on the way here. I got to walk through the other day, walking through, I walked with the commissioner, we walked up Telfair Street and we looked at some of the trees, and I think you're gonna say that we get to keep some of them, and I'm excited to hear us talk about exactly which ones. One of the couple of things that I think we all have to keep in mind as we move forward is that this was a policy that was set in place a long time ago, and there were different choices we could have made along the way that would have made this project more expensive maybe, but more amenable to keeping kind of the culture and footprint. So as we think about this project and moving forward, and we invest in different parts of our community, we need to have a pretty good handle on what that means. And I think there's a lot of history in different communities that we're losing every single day. And so taking a step back at this area in general, how do we want, moving forward, what do we want that development to look like? And I think there's a huge opportunity, because there's a ton of funds that are happening right now. There's things that are happening, so I'm excited that we still have historians, and there's a lot of history that here all the way down to East Boundary. Thank you for keeping the trees. I want us to tunnel. I want somebody to tell me how much it costs to tunnel, and I want to go get the money. But I think that we've had storm drain issues here for a really long time. My kids played in this park. Like, there's no question that there's sewage issues. We see it in the river. Ironman, we actually got the city the first time to clean up the city street. Avery was around, it was when Tom was still around, and it was because we were testing in the river and people were swimming in it. And the swimming in it was the impetus to actually not get AB and Tom and them to invest in it. It was really about the commissioners and releasing the recognition that this, I think, this needed to be done. So, I'm excited that we're here. I'm even more excited that we're talking about saving these trees and maybe hopefully saving the culture of who our community is downtown. And I think we have some open ears right now. So, but I think this, I don't know, it's great all the way around. And I'm also even more excited that this man standing next to me, I'm gonna hand him the mic, because nobody knows more about trees than Mr. Rosenkin. So
But in this case, we are absolutely a total agreement. And, we share our mutual concerns are that this Garden City is getting ready to be de-gardened from 15th Street to East Boundary. And it's of great concern to me, to Tanya, and to a lot of my friends, and I hope to a lot of people in Augusta that will chime in, because this right down, historic downtown area, especially Telfair Street, and that's an area that was not destroyed by fire in the early part of the 20th century. And so there are some very historic structures down there, and historic sidewalks even, which the city is preparing to tear up, folks. And we haven't quite understood fully yet, and I hope Tom Robinson will address that, because he's very concerned, especially about the areas where the old academy, parade grounds are, and the old medical college. I think that, the greatest travesty, as far as the people who live in Old Town is concerned, if they take down the trees that are scheduled to be taken down on the plans, we're gonna take a pretty shady, appealing area and turn it into a heat zone. And it is well documented that streets and yards and parking lots with trees on them are somewhere around 20 degrees cooler than they are if you didn't have them. And for those of you who live downtown, you are going to scream bloody murder when you get your electric bills from your air conditioning in the summertime if they take those trees out. And it's one thing to save trees or not cut them down. It's another thing to take care of them when you're having a construction project. And this is the first time a city's had to go through this. I mean, there are many other cities, there are people all over the place who can add a lot to the planning of how to get your job done and protect the trees at the same time. Dr. Malik showed us the plans, over a year ago. And we could see immediately that there were some instances that we would really disagree with, because one, they were taking out trees they shouldn't take out, and two, they had proposed to put back trees that wouldn't work in that place. Telfair, for instance, is the plan shows the trees coming out, and if you've been down Telfair, you see all the red X's on the trees. And I'm sorry, Dr. Malik, but those aren't old trees that need to come out. I drove down that street again today, and in 3 blocks I saw 2 trees that ought to come out because of their age. The rest of them are healthy, vigorous trees. The plan shows that the new little trees, not shade trees, but small trees like red buds and crepe myrtles, going back in there after they take out crepe myrtles that are already there, and planting all sorts of understory plants in the islands, in the street islands, louis grass and other grasses and high maintenance stuff. And guess what? The city doesn't have a crew to take care of that kind of thing. They're spending a lot of money to create something they don't have money to maintain. I think they need to go back to the drawing board, folks.
Yes.
And I hope
So we can all go home now?
Marty, you said that.
Thanks, I'm Robin, and I'm a resident of St. John's Tower, concern is that, well, you already cut our shade tree down, so wanna address what to do about that. But it's the sidewalks or lack of that I'm also concerned about, and the time that it's taking to get a sidewalk back in place. I realized last week you halted everything, but that was last week. It's been like that for months. And residents that are not ambulatory, very ambulatory, try to go to the post office on 8th Street or try to go to the churches. And it's very difficult because of the conditions of the sidewalk. So trees, I know you have to do what you have to do, but I'm also asking you to go back to the drawing board.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Any concerns behind me here? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you again for having us here tonight and doing this. And I think what your points are really great about doing new construction, we need to upgrade things, but, here's the elephant in the room as far as I'm concerned. According to the 2023 Global Climate Report from NOAA, National Centers for Environmental Information, every month of 2023 ranked among the 7 warmest for that month. And the months in the second half of the year, June through December, were each their hottest on record. In July, August, and September, global temperatures were more than 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit above the normal long-term average. The first time in NOAA's record any month has reached that threshold. These trees are on death row and have given Augustans much over their lifetime. They have provided us with energy saving, cooling, cleaner air, nature, and immense aesthetic value. They have done their part for our urban environment. Don't we at least owe them consideration which takes into account the value before we decide to cut them? Shouldn't we be planting more trees instead of taking away from our urban environment with what we know about the science and the climate change? It will take generations before we see a canopy such as this again. Why are we not thinking ways to provide a solution to climate change instead of contributing to it?
Thank you, A.B. One concern I have is we got projects going on, it's been going on over here. And I'd like to see closure on these projects before we jump on some other things. I got driving down my driveway every night with 4 cars and it's wear and tear on my car every day. And I'm all about progress. But I think somewhere bringing some of these closures, we've had the projects going on, and I don't know if there's a timeline on it. I see some of the emails that go out for project updates. But I think just kind of educating us about some of these types of things that we're all here now. I know there was plans for, I haven't seen any plans on that, I probably need to do a little bit of job of researching that, but still, I think when we have the community here, I think it'd be good to have those plans out for us to look at, see what's going on, and articulate that. So, I'm encouraged by all of us here, those that are speaking on behalf of the project. We all want to see our downtown thrive. We also want to do it wisely and economically and bring aesthetics back to what's going to make this historic part of downtown unique in its sense. So, thank y'all for having us here.
Thank you, Barry.
So, this talk about looking forward, so I'm just gonna kind of segue a little bit over to the 5th Street Bridge. And I've been kind of hollering and screaming about why aren't these trees
Yeah.
Okay. My concern is, I'm a delivery person all over the CSRE area. And with the trees that sometimes cast shadows on the ground, the stop signs, you don't hardly see them because the trees done grew out so much. So if they can cut or prune the tree branches, it wouldn't be as bad as cutting the whole tree down. That was my concern. So I know some trees have fallen across the way that will not allow traffic to pass when we have these storms. And also, Commissioner Johnson, I want to thank you for helping me with my project. I've been after the city for 3 years, and it took you 30 days. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. I love you. Concern?
Hi, I'm Kermit, and I live on Telfair, and I had a question and a concern. The question is, on Telfair, in the section that I live on, they have the deep granite curb. And I know they package them up on Green Street and they're stacked. Are you intending to put those back?
All right, this is the question.
Oh, it is.
But you can answer now, so now you can answer, go ahead.
Well, my other concern is that they mentioned how the city isn't able to maintain some of the things that they've done. And like, for instance, the city owns from the sidewalk to the street, but they don't maintain that. So like, in my yard and my neighbor's yard, we have sprinkler system. We planted a new tree that's 5 years old and doing great. And you're planning to cut it down and rip out my sprinkler system. So I was wondering, I tried to talk to the project manager and he never called me back. His name was Richard, I don't know, I forgot, but, my concern is just, how do I get in touch with someone to make sure they don't rip out my drain that I have and my sprinkler system and our user?
Yes.
Yes, I go this way.
My concern was that, some communication, whether they're widening Telfair Street. Personally, I think it would be more productive to narrow the street. The lanes are much wider than necessary in the Old Town section. So I would like to see that, get more residential, and raised sidewalks or raised intersections at Second, Third, and Forsyth, so that we can slow down the traffic and make it a little bit more compact, and traffic calming without having to use the police force for speed tickets.
Can I get Brett? Bob, you heard that traffic comment? You talked about that last year? Didn't that, no, you were there. All right.
My concern is with the businesses and offices that have already had this affecting them, that they've lost the trees a long time ago, sometime last year. Their utility bills are double this year. We're trying to revitalize downtown. The small businesses and the small offices won't be able to continue to pay $1,000 extra a month for utilities. That should be a concern of everyone in the city, that we're going to be losing these small businesses when we're trying to revitalize.
Ms. Davis.
Good evening, everyone. Can y'all hear me okay? I've lived in this area since the early 60s, behind River Baptist Church. Augusta, to me, has nothing like the beauty of these trees. Just please consider not taking too many of them down. We have a beauty like no other. Green, broad, East Boundary, Telfair, the light, you know. It's beautiful down here. To me it is, I've been down here so long. Consider keeping some of these trees. I'm in agreement with a lot of concerns you all have. I've been down here a long, long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Hi, I'll reiterate what some others have said.
20, 30, 40, hopefully more years. I want to take my kids for walks where we're not going to die of heat exhaustion on the way there. I want to take them to the library. We love this library. We want to have a place where we can grow up and be proud. And I'm going to be paying in all these years. I would love to just make my voice known now. This is my vote ahead of all of that money.
Thank you so much. Concerns?
Thank you. My name is Eric Montgomery. I'm the Executive Director of Historic Augusta. My concern, among many that have been said here, I agree with almost everything that's been said, but as the guardian of our historic designations, what we're in here is a National Register of Historic District. In the National Register, it's called Pinch Gut, same thing as Old Town. And it was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1980. And when you do a National Register nomination for a district or an individual property, there's areas of significance that you have to justify making it a designated historic area. And one of those for Old Town or Pittsburgh is landscape architecture. And that and its architecture are the main two areas of significance. I think there needs to be more consideration for that. And landscape architecture is the trees, it's the plantings, but it's also the hardscape that you include in the streetscape, which include the granite curbs and the sidewalks. I know we have a lot of concrete sidewalks, but we have brick sidewalks as well. All the monuments and so forth, all of those contribute to the streetscape and the landscape. And that's a major concern for me. Pinchgut is on the east side of Gordon Highway. On the other side is known as the Downtown Augusta Historic District. And it is listed on the National Register, pretty much everything west of Gordon Highway, all the way over to 13th, and in some cases, all the way to 15th. And again, landscape architecture is one of the criteria that allowed it to be listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So that's my concern, and I don't know that, I can't tell that much thought has been given to that in this planning, but we do not want to lose that designation. That's a very important designation. It leads to a lot of economic benefits, tax incentives, and other things that make it worth keeping and keep making it worthwhile. Thank you.
I'm so sorry to reach you. Y'all can probably hear me about it. I'm pretty loud. Hey, everybody. What's up? I'm Amy. I live on the corner of First and Green, and I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad to meet so many of my neighbors. So, hi, everybody. I do have a couple concerns, and I will say most of my concerns are rooted in communication and transparency, right? So for me, I'm so thankful that we are doing these improvements. Like, downtown Augusta could not live without infrastructure improvement. Like, it has to be done. And I'm fully aware of that, and I know that with those sorts of improvements, there are certain thresholds of frustrations that are gonna come with that, right? But I think the best way to mitigate those frustrations is to have a very forward communication effort. And my concern is that I have to go search out information, and even at that, I can't find the information. And I do feel like that is the city's responsibility to communicate information to the residents that live there. Okay, so that's concern number one. I will say too, and again, all of my concerns are sort of rooted in that, right? So, like you were saying, and I appreciate that, if you have lived or owned property in Old Town, it is a literal act of governance to do improvements or restorations, because they get real mad when I say renovations. It's restorations to my home, right? And so when we are seeing these restorations or improvements to downtown, It is disappointing as a resident who has had to follow certain guidelines to live there that I don't see any indicators that the city is complying with the same guidelines that I as a resident So again, everything's sort of rooted in communication and transparency. I'm concerned that I can't get on a website and see what's happening, that I don't have easy reference communication information. These are the people in charge of the project. Here are their emails and telephone numbers. I know that people get angry grams. I'm not interested in angry grams, just communication. And again, I think when we're forward with communication, things are received a lot easier. I am concerned, so speaking to the sidewalk issues, I have spoken with construction crews and I have spoken with the project managers for the construction crews, not the city project managers. And so my sidewalk, like so many others, has been torn up for months. I didn't realize St. Paul Towers has been so long. So I'm concerned that nobody can give me a timeline. And I know that one exists, like when they submit plans for to do the construction, there are timelines for everything. And I don't need an exact day, I know that's unrealistic, but to say, hey, this section of Green Street should be completed by this date, I don't feel like it's an unrealistic expectation. Or to say, hey, it should be finished by, the end of August. I just need to know there's a light at the end of the tunnel, please. Let's see. Right, lights at the end of the tunnel, come on, Jesus. I'm concerned about street lighting. It took us a long time, thank you, to get solar street lights on Green Street. Our families live here, man. Kids play there. It is a very walked road, and it is also a main highway. And we have no lights again, with no plans for when that will be fixed. And that is concerning for safety. It's concerning for traffic safety. It's concerning for personal safety. It's concerning for property safety. We need lights. And I know that there are phases of construction where that can't be there. But again, we should be communicated a reasonable time frame for when we can expect basic safety features in our neighborhood back. So again, I know a lot of people have been talking about the trees. I share concerns as far as being able to maintain what we've done, because I watched for years the overgrowth of downtown Augusta and not doing anything about it. So we need to know that there are systems in place for the city to be able to maintain the things that are being done. I'm really glad we're doing it, but man, I would love to know what those systems of maintenance are. And since I'm here and we're talking about it, I would love to see on the street signs for it to be indicated whether it is a two-way stop or a four-way stop, because there's a lot of potential traffic accidents, especially on Ellis. Thanks.
Can I piggyback off that young lady?
Sure can.
Bring it on. The lighting. I've gone down River Watch, 211 lights. Already added. Why can't they, and they're close together, why can't they just get a few of those lights and bring
Everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
My name is Chris. I don't live in this part of town, however, I visit downtown Augusta quite frequently, go to Old Town very often, travel through all the time. And one of the things that it appears like is that from 13th Street to East Boundary, it seems like Augusta is bitten off more than it can chew. And not able to meet those deadlines, as was already said, that what is happening. When something happens on Washington Road, right around the National, it's done. It's fixed.
Done.
Here, it seems like we're dilly-dallying, we're waiting. We want some kind of result.
Thank you so much. Come on, Ben. Ben has something he wants to say. It's on you, buddy.
I think we shouldn't cut down the trees because it provides a lot of shade and then we couldn't go on walks.
is for your AC. That's not considering the people, and there are many more than we like to admit that we have, who have no AC. So if you're 10 or 20 degrees above, normal, those people without AC, we're talking about heat is a killer. It is the #1 killer, environmentally in the nation. And so those people, that really, really affects them. We're talking about deaths. But anyway, the other concern that I have is you talked about all of this tearing up the streets because you're trying to fix or to replace infrastructure underneath, which my understanding is gray infrastructure, meaning it's all cement. My concern is that it would be the money, and yes, it would cost more upfront, but the money would be much better spent to put in what's called green infrastructure, putting in means that would channel water, especially like your stormwater. This is an area that does have flooding issues. And you put in green infrastructure, green stormwater infrastructure in these areas now that you're tearing them up. Rather than taking the trees out, you could design around the trees, the sidewalks people are talking about, instead of concrete sidewalks, make them penetrable, make them so that the water will go through them. And bioswales and other forms of green stormwater infrastructure, which would certainly cost-wise, it would cost more upfront, but in the long run, it costs a whole lot less. You're talking about a 20-year projection, you've ended up paying a whole lot less because of what you would do and what you would have to do as far as, like people say, the maintenance and the upkeep. Not to mention the lessening of the flood, thinking about flood control and water runoff, the quality of the water running into our rivers.
Well, I was very shocked and sad when they started cutting down all the trees on Green Street. And I think that project's been going on for about a year. I don't live in the area of property in there. And one of my trees is slated to be cut down. I just think that it would be nice to see a project completed on Green Street before you start tearing up Telfair Street.
Thank you.
I would like to mention, Fifth Street and, Reynolds Street. There's a beautiful monument there, a Gold Star marker monument there, and the city in a Blue Star marker there. It's the entrance into the Fifth Street Bridge. Go in anyway, the city did a gorgeous job of getting that mini park fixed up. Now, the city has that corner messed up. I don't know, they're doing sidewalks there. And so, finish that, please.
Yep.
Thank you. My name's Bob Kaltenbach. I'm at 370 Telfair Street, representing Comfort House of Augusta. We are a charitable organization that provides housing for adults that are in our local hospitals and things. It's kind of like a Ronald McDonald House for adults. Okay? And I have to say, since this project came up, it started with the trees, and for me, at this point, I have to say, I have never seen a city start a project of debeautification like we are describing today. I tried at the beginning to get an idea about what the scope of this project was. And I'm still not clear. What is a streetscape? Are you guys clear? I don't know. I'm glad there's some aesthetic outcomes And now the solar panels that are there. I don't know that we know the scope of the project. I understand it's gonna be wide, the street's gonna be wide. For a bike lane. I sat on that street, a couple of hours on Saturday. I drove down on Saturday morning from 10th Street to the end of the street. I did not see another car. Every 15 minutes, if a car passed by, that's a high traffic rate. We have sidewalks that are in place from really nice neighborhoods in the area that already has those sidewalks in place. And we're gonna tear them out to put new ones in, and guess what? I don't see people walking down that street. What are we doing? I don't get the project, to widen a 4-lane street that is little used, to pull up sidewalks that are little used. I don't get it. In the meantime, the trees have gotta go, nor do we have any guidance. Convince me that the infrastructure is gonna benefit us. I've never seen a flood on Telfair Street, has anybody?
Yes.
That may be the case, okay, I understand correctly on that, I've just never really seen that, okay? You will never see a street like this again in Augusta. You're gonna pull granite sidewalks that you haven't seen for 100 years in this area. You're gonna take an iconic southern street that, in my opinion, should be a destination street. If you wanna do something, promote this, market this, have 2 buses running on this street. This is
is horrific scheduling. I've never seen anything like it, with half-done work, giant holes dug in the street, abandoned for weeks. The communication is horrific. I get the weekly emails, which are useless. They don't really tell me anything about what's going on. They say, there'll be lane closures, maybe this one, maybe that one. Great, thanks. We've had water lines broken. We've had driveways blocked by giant World War I level ditches for weeks. I mean, we've just had massive quantities of problems with our properties down here. I know I'm not alone. And it's upsetting, really, to see what's going on. But, the thing about trees, is that one, maybe this question was already asked and I missed it, but where do I go? Where is the document that shows where the trees are gonna be replanted? What are the species gonna be? What size will be replanted? What is their size at maturity? I can't find it, maybe it exists, maybe it's a secret. I would love to get that information. I imagine most people in this room would too. Where are we going with the trees? Thank you.
Right. Hi, my name is Cassandra and I'm from East Boundary. I keep hearing about revitalization, improvements, but who are these improvements for? Because when we talk about East Boundary, we just got our storm drains and everything fixed, and we have a wonderful sidewalk and keep it, we've been waiting on since 1965, okay? Now, we're connected to Old Town. I can walk from my house down to Old Town. I don't wanna do it in 109 temperature though, right? And when we talk about improving the city, we talk about walkability scores. You can't walk from East Boundary to downtown when it's 110 degrees in the shade, without shade. So we really need to think about what trees and what the shrubbery means to the people that live here, our culture, and our way of life. In East Boundary, we have a lot of people that primarily bike or walk to places. A lot of people from my neighborhood walk to Wendy's, walk to Red Lobster, walk to various stores downtown to work. And if you ask any one of them for directions, they're gonna tell you, go up here and turn right by the Magnolia. If there's no Magnolia there, there's no sense of direction. You talk about, I grew up in that neighborhood. My mom told me a story today. She was like, oh my gosh, I love those trees. I used to walk you with a stroller from our house to Cullen's, right? So you can't walk and play with your kids if you don't have those trees. And when you talk about a streetscape, that is something that is normally put in a larger city like New York, where it's all concrete and they want to make it livable and walkable. So you have a topiary tree, a green trash can, a topiary tree, a green trash can. And I promise you, there are people, Savannah would never, Charleston would never, Columbus, who has surpassed us, would never take out these trees, okay?
Yeah.
The other thing is we have enough wood chips. So I know we can't save every tree, but for the ones that need to be removed, if we can talk about saving and relocating. There are folks in my neighborhood that pay hundreds to up to $1,000, $2,000 to get a mature tree in their yard for shade, for that very purpose. So think about moving them, saving as many as you can, but also moving them, and think about what these trees and these shrubs. I saw a shrub with an X on it. What did the shrub do? Like, it really is in somebody's yard, and it's got a giant X on it. Hide and seek. You can't play hide and seek without trees, shrubs, bushes. You know, you can't play around the roads. You can't play store. All those things that kids do, and we complain that all they do is sit on their screens and tablets, and they don't interact with nature. Well, if you take it out, there's nothing to interact with, right? The last thing I want to say is that right now, our neighborhood in East Boundary, we are experiencing like this revitalization. Everybody's excited, we're moving around more, and people are talking about planting community gardens. When you yank out those trees and shrubs, where does that soil go? It's washed away, because those bushes and those shrubs and those trees hold on to it and keep it in place. So just think about it, and if you save 40 trees, try to save 20 more. Just save as many as you can, and think about relocating them.
All right, I'm going to ask you to pass tonight some more, coming down on our time. I gotta get home and watch WWE, so,
Real quick, this community, and you hear it in this meeting a little bit, and, there's a lot of groups in this community that distrust and that are frustrated with other groups in this community. And I think city employees are frustrated and distrustful of department heads and the commissioners and everybody. And so we don't really work holistically on stuff in this community like we should. I think that's changing. I think things are going in a good direction. But there's something that needs to be said for the people sitting in the front of the room. The city will identify a funding source and will come up with a project, and despite the frustration and distrust, they'll ram that project through. This project is a transportation and infrastructure project. So it was given to the transportation infrastructure people to implement. They were given, they probably didn't have the kind of input from the garden clubs that we have in this town that really used to be incredibly active, that's like and the tree commission and Eric and his group and people that support his group. So those people weren't really as involved as they could have been and should have been through the process. That's one point. Another point is that I mentioned earlier to the folks in the front, everything that you were talking about that wasn't made available, it was made available, but it was made available about 4 years ago or 5 years ago. And there were huge public meetings. And so those guys up there get frustrated because the public always not working with boards and communities and this stuff. People say, well, nobody ever told me, and they're like, BS, they call BS on that because they know all this was made. The problem they have today, which is almost surprising we're having this meeting, they have been given an unrealistically large project with an unrealistically short timeline, and they can't identify everything that we belatedly are bringing up, even though it's justified, and even though once they lost, it's here to replace it, unless we are willing to look at the expense of rejiggering some of these things. They've got too much going on. They can't finish it with the timeline they have. They can't listen to us. They can't, or to the extent that we could or should, because everything delays and everything is money. So we have to realize that they're in an impossible position. So now we need the commissioners to figure it out. They have to come up with a compromise between the department heads that have it and the contractors that have the job, which they're saying, get this damn thing done by this date, and now they're saying, oh, let's save all the trees. Well, and all the other things. I think the things that have been brought up are worth being addressed, but we need to realize that they don't have the resources to address the things that we want to address unless we're willing to go through whatever it takes for them to figure out how to adjust it.
This is more of a question, but are the trees being cut down because you do not do the infrastructure without having them cut down? Or are the trees being cut down because someone's vision of a streetscape?
Well, I'll answer the question. Then at the end, like I said, we're all gonna stand up here, and we're not gonna leave until everyone has an opportunity to ask questions. But it's absolutely because of the infrastructure side. They're just presenting some problems, right? So we're get you through that.
My name is Nelson Danish, I'm a native of the city. Look at the difference of trees that made on Broad Street. Many years ago, a woman named LK has to look for a farm. We used to take a survey, and cut down all these trees on Broad Street, they'll be back in 50 years, and they're gone. Let's stay.
My name is James Gay. I'm gonna let myself a little bit. I'm 66 years old. I've been living in Old now for 66 years. I'm supportive for saving the trees, but but I'm also hearing a lot of people talking tonight, let's take care of what we got. I've never seen Old Town tore up like this now. Let's finish what we got. I think that's just my comment.
Thank you. Tom Robertson.
Well, I wasn't gonna speak, but Roy said I had to, it sounded like. I want to thank Dr. Malik and his group, speaking about a particular area on Telfair Street, the historic district that goes from the old government house up to the Woodrow Wilson house. Unlike the districts that Eric Montgomery talked about, that is a locally designated historic district that goes back to the 1970s. It's our first one. It has some of our finest buildings there. So I represent, and I'm the president of the owners of the Richmond Academy building and the old medical college building. And Meade has been very kind. We've had a discussion about that particular block for about 2.5 years now, and we're gonna meet again this coming Wednesday about some specifics. But the point I wanted to make here is that people have talked about our history. We've got a lot of history, those granite curbs and those sidewalks and things that might not need to be changed. And in the case of our building, the Academy building, when that building was built, Thomas Jefferson was president of the United States. And just think about that. Our group has owned that building a really long time, and we take the long view of things. And we're thinking about another couple of 100 years from now. And so if trees have to come out, let's at least think about planting some shade trees in the place of them. And so, maybe there won't be a problem. I mean, we'll all be dead by the time they get big enough to be a problem. They'll be somebody else's problem. But at least have some shade in the meantime. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. All right, Sid Gates. Good run.
Yes, sir. I want to thank the Politicos for being here tonight. This has really been incredible. Can you imagine if Congress just did this better? I mean, seriously, United Nations, the dialogue's been respectful, solution focused, not ad hominem. I appreciate your comment about Columbus. I'm from Columbus originally. Columbus would not allow this, or Aiken, or Savannah, or Greenville, or some of these cities. And my comments are brief. I'm a therapist in private practice. I'm about brokering alliances and helping people find solutions every day, systems, diets, family systems, what have you. So we're not pump the brakes on this a bit. I would like to see us reach out to some of these communities we're talking about that preserve heritage and green space, but also we appreciate the need for modernity. I'm not hearing anybody push back on modernity. We do need to make improvements, but can we do it with what's in mind? It's going to be balanced with nature, and we've heard all the comments. We've got some incredible people in here tonight. I have some good friends. An august assemblage here that have forgotten more than I'll ever know about eco-justice and climate change and all that. But there's cities like us that are doing this right. And I'm just saying, if we could pump the brakes, reach out, if that's possible. I know it may cost a few shekels, but if we could figure out how they're doing it, with no brighter folks than we've got, no more resources maybe, but how they've been able to pull it off and placate in the good sense of the term both sides. Thank you.
Well, let me say this. First, let's thank AB for standing here and listening for over the time. I want to take a second and really just say thank you. Number one, for being here tonight, because this is what it's all about, right? If you never spoke up, you wouldn't be here. Like I said, when you started calling and sending emails and showing up, we halted the work for the time being. Because we wanted to get in front of you, we wanted to have a conversation, and we wanted to make sure that whatever decisions are made next, that you're involved in those decisions. So here's a little bit of what's next. Mr. Jackson, Charles Jackson, who is our deputy administrator, has been taking notes. He is an excellent note taker. And he's going to compile those notes into a report, and he's going to send that report over to the commission, departments, and our mayor. Our mayor is here, Mayor Garnett Johnson. Let's welcome Mayor Johnson. He's going to follow up. Within the next couple of days, we're going to sit down with the department and just kind of go over what was said tonight. And we're also going to take into consideration the questions that you're going to come up and ask. Again, like I said, we are not any position to guarantee that we're gonna save every tree, right? I said at the beginning, I'm gonna book in the conversation here as well. But we're gonna do everything that we can. We're gonna make every effort possible to get us to that better place, right? I see Tanya in the back, she's been very vocal. Roy has been very vocal, and we're listening, and we're gonna do everything we can to reach a middle ground. This is how it happens, right here, okay? I wanna take a quick moment and recognize Tina Slimback, the incoming District 7 Commissioner. Wave, Tina. I recognize Brian from our planning department. Thank you, Brian, for being here. Scanning the room, and I don't want to miss anybody. In church, Reverend Book is, we say charge it to our head and not our heart, right? Charge it to my head and not my heart. Are there any other concerns before I turn this over to the leaders of the departments to answer questions? Yes.
I'd just like to reiterate the concern for Old Town, that whatever your plans are for the other rest of Telfair, that the historic Pinchgut section, if you're thinking about Telfair, widening it down by the library, when you get to Pinchgut at the Gordon Highway, narrow it. So it retains its residential character. We don't need a boulevard.
Do me a favor, take out your phones and take my phone number. Seven 706, there it is, it's back. 564-9356, okay? If you're on Facebook, I want you to follow me on Facebook, all right? I can post some things on it that's not really cool sometimes, but it's okay, just still follow me on Facebook. She caught that reference, I like that. Follow me on Facebook because I want to put on my page the next commission meeting day, okay? The next engineering committee meeting day. And I want you all to be there. Because at that meeting, we're going to have on the agenda, Mayor Johnson, myself, and Commissioner Scott will have on that agenda a full project overview from start to finish, where we are, what we've done, where we're going. And we're also going to be discussing the details of tonight's meeting in somewhat of a part B, or however you want to call it, to this meeting, okay? Follow me there because this will not be our last town hall on this topic. We're going to come back, okay? Last thing, yes, sir. My phone number is 706-564-9356. If you're a texter, text me. Okay? All right, anything else? Thank y'all for being here. Now we're going to get our departments to the front, come up and ask your questions. And like I said, we will not leave here until your questions are answered, okay? Or at least asked. Thank you so much. Yeah, hold on, one moment, please. One moment, please. One moment. July 30th. July 30th, 1 p.m. Okay? Check the Facebook, it'll be there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Last thing before we leave, I want to make sure that you have this information. Many of you have it, but I want to make sure to reiterate it. Get online and go to AugustaDTP.com. I know there's some kinks there, we're going to work them out. AugustaDTP.com. Okay? Please go familiarize yourself with that website. Thank you all.
They're early concepts.
Yes, Wednesday, I'll be down this week. And Senior said, take care, man. Thank you. What do you guys do? Okay, so.